the National Employers Association of South Africa, Neasa, has refused to sign the wage deal reached yesterday with metal workers. It says it will approach the Labour Court to exempt its members from the deal, which ended the month-long strike by metal worker union Numsa. Numsa settled with the larger of the employer bodies, SABC. It accepted a 10% annual pay rise fixed for 3 years for its lowest paid workers. Neasa, which represents about 3,000 companies, says it won't sign because it simply cannot afford the wage hikes. Neasa-affiliated companies have implemented lockouts at workplaces today. Well, Neasa CEO Gerard Pappenvis joins me now. Gerard, good afternoon. Thanks for coming in.
Hello, David.
Let me get straight into it. This is not the first time Neasa has rejected a wage deal on the basis of affordability. It's happened before. You went to court on that. Perhaps brief us on how far you are with that.
Perhaps I must just explain something about collective bargaining. Collective bargaining is a strange animal where employers and employees can make a deal and then enforce the deal on others that's not part of that deal. SABC in this case is an employers organisation, having as members 2,000 employers. Although in their midst they have a couple of seriously big employers. And on that basis, they think they can manage to extend a deal to Neasa. Now that is the problem with collective bargaining. Big employers making a deal, extending that to smaller employers. Big employer in Johannesburg making a deal and then says to a little company in the Northern Cape, you must comply with that deal. And if you can't, if you can prove bankruptcy, you know, being totally economically down and out, then you can apply for an exemption. Doesn't make sense at all. Now, this industry has lost 700,000 jobs in the last 30 years. The last 5 years, 250,000 jobs. In terms of employment, we're on the levels that existed in 1972. Industry is in trouble. So, in 2011, there was a deal struck. We took that to court. We won. On 20 December 2012, the court found in our favor, and there was a 3-year deal, and set aside the first part of the deal. The court said, however, this is going to cause chaos in the industry, and the court declared it null and void. And then the court said, but listen, let's give the minister another opportunity to extend the same agreement in terms of a different provision of the Act. The minister did that. In my view, she made a huge mistake in doing so. We went back to court on the 2nd of July. We were in court again, and we're awaiting judgment. If we win, the previous 3 years deals will simply be set aside. Now, we know what we say when we say we do this again. It is for the sake of the industry. The industry is simply in a process of decline. Now, SABC signing the deal, and it's not about SABC. The CEO of SABC said, when he announced the deal, he said he's doing that under duress. And this is going to cause massive job losses. Now, you know, if that is the deal you're doing, don't do the deal. This is a two-way street.
Can I ask you though, Gerard? I mean, you've been down the road before. My question to you is, why were you in those negotiations if you knew about this potential eventuality of them shoving down a percentage point on your, on your body?
We're there to protect our members. We're there to negotiate. Our bona fides can never be questioned for us being in that negotiations. But what happened? Numsa wanted to go on the strike. I mean, they were set to do the strike. And when the strike started, the minister called Numsa and SABC into bilateral negotiations. And when SABC returned from those bilaterals, they there was a distance between us. That was a big mistake. And we called on these parties to negotiate with us because we owe, and I've made this clear, we owe to South Africa an arrangement where we can create jobs. The number one crisis in South Africa is job creation, and this industry is not creating jobs at all. We're losing jobs. We said we must, I said we must in these negotiations create a dispensation where we can create jobs. Other parties say that's not our business. I say it is our business. We owe it. When the government says, private sector, you must create jobs, then I say it's our responsibility to create that dispensation. We must make, I also said, we must make this thing more flexible. That wasn't dealt with, and when I say no, that's why Neasa says, well, you know, similarly to a strike, there's a lockout, we want to engage and we want to force you to come and engage us on these issues.
We've got a couple of seconds left. Just very quickly brief us on the situation on the ground. I would imagine that your members now, or the companies affiliated to Neasa, have they implemented the lockout? What's your next move?
Yeah, they've implemented, although it's voluntary. If a company says, I don't want to do it, I want my workers back, they can do that. I suggest all of us, unions, and Neasa go back to the table and sort this thing out.
Because you are losing production, are you not?
Oh, no doubt about it. This is a sacrifice. It's not good.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there. Neasa CEO Gerard Pappenvis, thanks indeed for coming in.
Dan, my pleasure.